It's a new day, and now that the rain has stopped and there's a bit more light out, I can continue the testing, and hopefully this time we won't completely char the toast. So, got the toaster, got my stopwatch. We're gonna let this go for 10 minutes. This would be easier without the phone, but I'm trying to film this, so. Well, that would have been better without the phone, but I wanted to show you. So, yeah, we're gonna let that go for 10 minutes, and hopefully this time it does not burn up completely like it did last time. So I'll see you in a little bit. So the last one burnt up again, and I suppose I should take this as a sign that I might be doing something wrong. So I'm thinking the first time I might not have flipped it around as many times, and that might have meant that one side didn't toast as much as the other, but that would mean that it might not have burnt up as much. So I'm going to try letting it sit for just a few seconds, and then putting it back down, and then starting the timer again. And hopefully this time it won't burn up so much. If it burns up again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, because 10 minutes was the predetermined time that it took for one piece of toast to become over toasted but not burnt up. And now every single time when I try to do it again, it just keeps burning completely up. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. Don't really know exactly what I should do. I'm going to try this, and I'm hoping this will turn out better. I was just looking back through my footage, and I realized that I did actually flip it. So this might change things a little bit, but I gotta get something at 10 minutes. I just don't really know what could be causing the difference, because the first time I did it for 10 minutes, it was a constant thing. I would put it in for 2 minutes, and I'd pop it back down and put it in for 2 more minutes. And like, if the toaster heated up a lot, then that's just what happened. It's not like I put it in and then let it sit for a while. So I'm just really confused. So I've just stopped it at 9 minutes, and as you can see, it is completely just charred, and it's broken even before I've even done anything to it. Which I'm just really confused. There's no way I can test this, but I don't have enough bread to test everything again, with 8 minutes being the maximum. And I need 5 data points. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to figure out why it would not go for 10 minutes again. I just don't know. So evidently I'm never going to be able to get to 10 minutes again, which I do not understand at all. But if I try to do it for 10, it's like nothing is changing. It's still burning to the point where it just falls apart, even though the first time I did it, maybe the first time I did the toasting, the bread was really thick, and so that's why, or something. I don't know. I'm going to try to figure out what to do, and then I guess I'll get back to you. So I've decided that since 10 minutes is too long, 8 minutes is going to be the maximum time. But since I don't have enough bread to do all the testing over again, I've decided that as a 5th data point, what I'll do is I'll just toast a piece for maybe like 30 seconds, not a lot of time at all. I would just put raw toast in, but I feel like that would just get crushed and not actually do anything. It has to be toasted a little bit to support some weight. But this way we'll hopefully see a more ductile break, maybe. And yeah, it'll serve as the 5th data point. So I'm just going to put it down and start the timer. It didn't go down. This is actually kind of how much I like my toast toasted anyway, and you might argue that putting it down for only a few seconds is not really toast, but you know, it's a thing. Anyway, now that we know sort of what to do, I'm gonna repeat the previous testing a second time. Oh, it's almost done. Probably should actually go for 1 minute, I think. But yeah, now that we've sorted out exactly what we're going to be doing for the rest of the testing, I'll just repeat this testing a second time. Just a few more seconds. Alright. That'll work. Now to put it in the tester. So now we have our, you could argue this is just bread, but it's lightly toasted. Let's see what sort of results we get from this. Oh. I guess I probably should have expected that. Well, yeah, I guess we're just gonna do 4 tests. Or I guess, if you just put bread in, it basically just doesn't do anything. Or it doesn't really support any load whatsoever. So, yeah, that's not entirely great. Well, time to do the rest of the testing. Here is the second toasted for 4 minutes. This one withstood 105 quarters before it failed. There it is. See if I can focus a bit better. Ah, that's better. Very good. Here's the toast after 6 minutes. This failed after 240 quarters. This behaved a lot more like the first 8-minute one, and I think it's because the toaster is starting to toast a lot more and more as I'm doing this. So 6 minutes one time might not be the same as 6 minutes another time. And that would probably explain as well why the first time I did it, 10 minutes was... This is actually kind of what it looked like after 10 minutes initially. But I think now, yeah, now it's just toasting more and more. So that's more it's more a result of the toaster and not necessarily Well, what I mean is the toaster is toasting it more and more and more, even though I'm putting it in for the same amount of time. And that's why I'm getting these weird things where one time it breaks after one uh, weight, and then I put it in again for the same amount of time, and it does it at a different weight. I'm thinking that's why. Anyway, time to go to the 8 minute. We'll see if the 8 minute even survives at this rate. So this is the 8 minute one, and it hasn't broken yet, but I'm filming it now because this came out just like the 10 minute one came out, where it was all super, super dark. So I'm fairly certain that if I put any amount of weight on this, it's most definitely going to fail. It's already cracked a little bit just sitting out. Okay, it hasn't failed. So there. Start. So I can measure it. .4 po. The other side. 1.4515. Okay. Now let's add 5 more. Very carefully. Playing it better than I thought it would. I'm just going to keep recording. I might cut afterwards to the point where it breaks if it keeps on holding up. I did not expect it to hold up this well. It's very hard to get it where it needs to go. Because by the time you get within the correct tolerance, you're already in danger of touching it and shifting it up a tiny bit, which invalidates your reading. Not invalidates it, but like it messes up the reading a little bit. It's 15. Oh, and it broke. Alright. So yeah, this is a lot. This is what I would have expected to happen for 10, but the toaster is it's not working out very well. So there it is. It's basically just charcoal at this point. There's really not much left apart from down in the bottom corners. And there isn't really much in the way of a cross section. So that would explain why it failed so soon. But yeah, I would have expected this to be the outcome of the 10 minute, and then, you know, but that's not what happened. So the last one I have to do is just putting it in for like a minute. But it's probably going to be about the same as the first one. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, this one has been toasting for about a minute. Yeah, it really does not hold up at all. Kind of surprising considering everything else has held up rather well, and then you put it in for just a few seconds and it still only toasts a little bit. But it's a data point. It is a data point. Right. Well, that's the last one. It'd take a while to get all of the data. Might as well show you. It didn't break, it just sort of bent. So I guess in a qualitative sense, it's a good data because it shows that if you only toast it for like a minute, it's relatively ductile, but it doesn't break. It also really can't take much in the way of load. Right. Now that we have all our data, all it's left to do is average all of the results. So there's quite a bit of averaging to do actually. I have to average the deflection between. Hold on a sec. To average the deflection from between this corner and this corner, and I also need to average the numbers from both the different tests so I get an average result for the toasting time. And after that, all that's left to do is to put it in a graph in Excel. But that's basically it as far as physical testing goes. At least I do believe there's not much left to do physically. Yep, that's it for physical testing. So I might record the process of putting everything into Excel. I haven't decided yet, but as far as physical stuff, that's all there is. So I suppose even if I don't do any of the Excel stuff, I guess what I'll do is I'll just summarize everything in the end. I'll include the Excel stuff if I do record doing stuff in Excel, but for now, that's often I've said that 3 times now. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure how to transition from this to the next bit, so I guess I'll just see you in a second. I don't know. I'm figuring this out as I go. So considering that the video is already getting long and the last one was already almost half an hour, I'd really like to try to keep this as brief as possible. Basically just put all of the data into Excel here. I have the time for the 2 minutes, shows the test number, shows how much weight there are in quarters, the near corner distance, the far corner distance, and basically just plotted it down for each of the measurements. And also have some notes on the side, so recorded when it was bending, when it broke, whether I heard cracking or not, and I basically did that for all of the different trials. And then what I did was I took the average of the distance, which is literally just the average of the 2 distances, and that is all on the side here. And then for the weight in pounds, what I did was I looked up the weight of a quarter in pounds, and quarters, they're all basically the same weight, so I just converted it to pounds and multiplied it by however many quarters I have. So that's all on the side here. And then to get to the deflection, I just took the original distance and then subtracted each other distance from it, and that gave me a deflection. So at the beginning, there's 0 because it's just this minus that deflection. But as you get further down, it gets more and more and more, and that's how I got that. Then what I did was, for each of the two sets, I averaged them together where appropriate. So, for example, over here, this is the two 4-minute time sets. For the first few data points, it's all averages of the distances, but this, for example, this here, it broke at 95 quarters, but later down the line, it broke at 105 quarters. So after 105 quarters, which is around about, I think, where is it in weight? I'm not sure, but it's averaged up until like here, and then I just continue using the rest of the data. Now, in some cases, this causes a weird, like a jump. So you see here, right about here, the deflection is going up, 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 and then once we get past this first average, or last average rather, you see it jumps back down, and that's because when you average them together, the average is going to end up being greater than whatever the actual deflection is. And that did affect things a little bit. So after I got all that data, for each of these time sets, I made graphs for the corresponding time sets, and those are here. 1 minute and 2 minute, kind of disappointing, nothing happens, so let's just focus on these. So here you can really easily see what I was talking about. Here it starts going like this, but after this point here, it jumps all the way back over here, so we kind of have this double line thing, which is weird, but that's just the way it worked. It's not very easy to tell with the 8 minute, but if you see here, the line kind of goes backwards a bit. That's where that is. And then finally over here, I just have the ultimate tensile load versus the toasting time, so you can see that the ultimate load increased as the time went up, but then after reaching a certain point, it dropped back down again, which is consistent with our original hypothesis that the bread was going to get stronger to a point and then it'd just become more brittle and fail sooner. But it is a bit weird because there should have been a 2 minute, a 4 minute, a 6 minute, an 8 minute, and then a 10 minute. But as you know, the 10 minute did not work out very well, so I wasn't able to really plot that. So I tried adding the 1, but that ended up being disappointing as well. So in the end, I just ended up with, it's really just 3 graphs, and then this one, I guess, kind of counts. But that was because of the inconsistencies with the toaster. But aside from that, that's basically it. I won't drag it on much longer. This is already getting to be very long. And if you've watched up until this point, first of all, thank you. And second of all, sorry if I ended up taking more of your time than was probably reasonable. But this is more of a, it's just data basically. So it ended up taking a lot of time. But that's it for the toast testing procedure. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.